She was the wild heart of TLC, bold, unapologetic, and unforgettable. Lisa Left Eye Lopes set the world on fire, sometimes literally, and spent the rest of her life trying to make sense of the ashes. By the early 2000s, Lisa had achieved global fame, but something inside her had shifted. Haunted by inner demons and drawn to spiritual healing, she disappeared into the jungles of Honduras with a camera crew, searching for clarity, redemption, and maybe even rebirth. What she captured on tape in her final days was something no one expected: a series of eerie events, haunting reflections, and a deadly premonition. A recurring dream of a fatal car wreck, and the unsettling feeling that an evil spirit was stalking her. Just days before her own death, Lisa filmed a young boy being struck by a car. She believed the spirit had meant to take her and had taken him by mistake. And then the unthinkable happened. While the camera was still rolling, Lisa died in a violent car crash. Her final moments forever caught on film. Join us on a supernatural journey as we explore the life and death of Lisa Left Eye Lopes, a lyrical genius, a cosmic force of nature, and a fiery spirit who eerily predicted how her final song would end. I'm JC Nova. This is Death by Misadventure. Lisa Nicole Lopes was born on May 27, 1971, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The eldest of 3 children, she was raised in a modest home by her mother, Wanda, a gentle woman with a spiritual streak, and her father, Ronald, a former Army Staff Sergeant whose presence filled every room. Ronald was known for his iron will, a man of discipline and rigid structure. At times he could be warm, but more often he was volatile and controlling, instilling fear instead of affection. Lisa's mother, on the other hand, offered something softer, an emotional counterbalance. Wanda was a deep believer in God, intuition, and dreams. She encouraged Lisa's imagination, even when it didn't fit neatly into her husband's rules. Lisa would later credit her mother as one of the first people who truly saw her, not just as a child, but as an artist. Lisa stood out from an early age. She was tiny and sharp, with big eyes and a mischievous grin. Her siblings, Raindrop and Ronald Jr., often tagged along as Lisa organized impromptu concerts in their living room. She'd dress up, write original songs, and direct the whole show, down to the lighting. Her favorite role? The lead, of course. She entered local talent shows, school performances, and neighborhood battles, anywhere she could test her skills. Friends remember her as a girl who would always have a pen in her hand, scribbling rhymes in the margins of her notebook, her head constantly nodding to a beat only she could hear. She idolized Prince, Madonna, and Salt and Peppa, artists who pushed boundaries and blurred the lines between art and rebellion. But Lisa wasn't just expressive, she was explosive. She had a temper and a mouth to match, and she didn't take well to being told what to do. In school, she got into frequent trouble for talking back, skipping class, or turning in assignments laced with drawings and lyrics. But her teachers couldn't deny she was smart, just uncontainable. Her friendships were tight and loyal. Lisa had a small group of girls she confided in, other outsiders, dreamers, and artists who didn't quite fit in. She wasn't a follower. Even then, she was the spark. Music wasn't just an interest, it was oxygen. At age 10, she formed the Lopes Kids, a family band where she sang, played keyboard, and performed original songs with her siblings. Her mother was their biggest fan, cheering them on from folding chairs and church pews. As she entered her teens, Lisa's creative drive deepened. She started sneaking into local rap battles and open mic nights, where she quickly gained a reputation as a tiny girl with a lethal flow. She could wrap circles around grown men, and she loved it. That mix of charm and chaos, sweetness and fire, would soon define her public persona. By the time she turned 17, Lisa had made a decision. She was going to be a star. After briefly enrolling in a technical college, she dropped everything and moved to Atlanta with a keyboard, a bag of clothes, and a dream. She heard a new girl group was being formed by music moguls L.A. Reid and Perry Pebbles Reid, and she wasn't going to miss her shot. Lisa was only 19 when the stars began to align. But the truth is that spark inside her had been burning for years. And just beneath it, something darker flickered, something that even Lisa couldn't quite explain. Because behind the girl with a sparkle in her eye was someone already haunted. And soon, the world would meet Left Eye. When Lisa Lopes stepped off the bus in Atlanta, she had almost nothing. Just a duffel bag, a keyboard, and an unstoppable drive to make something of herself. She was still a teenager, barely 17, crashing on couches and sleeping on floors with anyone who would let her stay the night. Sometimes she stayed with friends of friends. Other times, she slept in her cousin's one-bedroom apartment. But Lisa didn't complain. She was in Atlanta for one reason: to make it. Word spread fast about a casting call for a new girl group being put together by Perry Pebbles Reid and her then husband, music mogul L.A. Reid. Their record label was building a new roster of talent, and they wanted to find the next big act in R&B. Lisa showed up to the audition wearing her now signature glasses with a condom over the left lens, a cheeky symbol of her safe-sex advocacy and rebellious spirit. She was quirky, confident, and completely unforgettable. One producer later said, "She walked in the room, 5 feet tall, and you couldn't take your eyes off her. She wasn't just a rapper, she was a spark plug." The group initially included Lisa and singer Tion T-Boz Watkins, a cool-toned contralto from Des Moines, Iowa, with a chronic illness and a quiet but commanding presence. After a few failed third-member auditions, the final lineup was sealed with Rosanda Chili Thomas, a dancer from Atlanta with a girl-next-door appeal. They called the group TLC, T for Tion, L for Lisa, and C for Chili. From the start, each member played a clear role. T-Boz was the chill one, smooth and grounded. Chili was the sweet one, with the big voice and bigger hair. And Lisa? Lisa was the wild card, the visionary, the fire starter, the chaos engine in baggy overalls and Timberlands. She was also the most outspoken, constantly challenging producers, rewriting her verses, and suggesting wild marketing ideas. According to Chili, Lisa was the one who always pushed us to do something different. She was unpredictable, but she had a brilliant mind. Lisa quickly became the face and voice of TLC's activism, pushing for safer sex education, financial transparency, and artistic control, all while wearing condoms as fashion accessories and spitting bars that had real bite. TLC's earliest performances were in Atlanta clubs, school gyms, and industry showcases, and they were raw but electric. They danced in oversized clothes, baggy jeans, and neon vests. Lisa would often grab the mic mid-set and freestyle, breaking the structure of the show just because she felt like it. After one performance at an industry showcase, a rep from Arista Records told L.A. Reid, "These girls aren't just good, they're about to change the game." Shortly after, LaFace Records signed TLC to a recording deal, pairing them with hot producers like Dallas Austin, Jermaine Dupri, and Babyface to work on their debut album. It wasn't long before the studio sessions took on a life of their own. Lisa, always the perfectionist, would stay late rewriting lyrics, clashing with producers who wanted her to tone things down. One engineer recalled her lighting incense and pacing the studio barefoot, saying she couldn't rap until the energy felt right. She often brought in crystals, candles, and notebooks full of scribbled mantras and rhymes. When recording Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Lisa pushed to make the lyrics bolder. She wanted to say what other girls were only thinking. Her verse became one of the most iconic parts of the track. Released in early 1992, TLC's debut album exploded onto the scene. With its fusion of hip-hop, new jack swing, and pop, the album went quadruple platinum. Hits like What About Your Friends, Baby Baby Baby, and Ain't Too Proud to Beg made them the most exciting new act in R&B. Lisa's signature voice, high, rapid fire, and bursting with attitude, made her an instant standout. Critics called her the pint-sized powerhouse and a lyrical firecracker with something to say. But the fame only fueled her volatility. Lisa was still bouncing between places to live. Sometimes she stayed with boyfriends. Oftentimes she holed up in the studio. She partied hard, drank harder, and was known to disappear for days at a time, only to return with a new idea, a wild outfit, or a half-finished verse written in the margins of a paperback book. Despite the chaos, she always stayed in touch with her family, calling her mother Wanda often, especially when she felt lost. She'd wire money home when she could, and always told her younger sister, Raindrop, "One day you're coming with me." But behind the big glasses and flashy videos, something was stirring. Lisa was restless. She just didn't want to be a pop star. She wanted to understand herself. Her journals from that time reveal a young woman already starting to question everything: her purpose, her anger, her place in the world. She was only 21 years old, and already the fire inside her was threatening to consume everything she'd built. And soon it would. By 21, Lisa had become a superstar, but stardom only amplified the chaos. TLC was touring, recording their second album, and dominating the charts. Lisa, with her quirky style and unfiltered mouth, was at the center of it all. She was brilliant. She was volatile. She was already on the edge. It's no surprise, really, because Lisa was a Gemini sun, born with an agile mind, sharp tongue, and a restless heart. She craved stimulation, new ideas, fast movement. To sit still was to suffocate. Her moods shifted like the wind. Life had to stay in motion, or she'd create chaos just to feel alive. But under that quicksilver exterior, she carried something deeper. Her moon in Cancer made her emotionally raw, desperate to nurture and be nurtured. She wanted to be needed, and when she didn't feel loved, she unraveled. Her Venus and Mercury in Taurus made her loyal, possessive, and slow to let go, especially when it came to love. And nothing exemplified that contradiction better than her relationship with NFL star Andre Rison. Lisa met Andre in 1993. He was a wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, a rising football legend with money, fame, and swagger to match. Their connection was electric, but from the start, it was combustible. Andre later said in an interview, "We were two strong personalities, too much alike in a lot of ways. When it was good, it was heaven. When it was bad, it was dangerous." They fought hard, partied even harder, and loved with the volume turned all the way up. Lisa would show up at games screaming from the stands. He'd shower her with designer gifts, luxury cars, and eventually a mansion. Friends said it was passion. Others said it was obsession. Lisa, ruled by emotion and impulse, was intensely jealous. Andre, a Pisces, was romantic but slippery, prone to secrets, mood swings, and emotional retreat. Their relationship spiraled quickly. Behind closed doors, things turned violent. Lisa accused Andre of physical abuse. He denied it, but the police were called to their home multiple times. In interviews, Lisa admitted they were both toxic. "We would beat each other up," she said bluntly, "but it was out of love, if that makes any sense." On June 9, 1994, after a night out, Lisa returned to Andre's Atlanta mansion, drunk and furious after an argument over his alleged infidelity. She noticed a new pair of sneakers, ones she had bought him still in the box. In a fit of rage, she placed them in the bathtub and lit them on fire. But the fire spread. Within minutes, flames engulfed the bathroom, then the hallway, then the entire house. By the time the firefighters arrived, the $800,000 mansion was gone. Lisa stood outside, barefoot and in shock. She later said, "I didn't mean to burn the house down. I just wanted to burn his shoes." She was arrested and charged with first-degree arson. Mugshots of her looking hollow-eyed and shaken plastered tabloids across the country. The press dubbed her Crazy Left Eye, but the public was torn. Was she a violent threat or just a young woman in pain? TLC's label, LaFace Records, went into damage control mode. Executives urged Lisa to seek help and temporarily pulled her from public appearances. Rumors swirled that she might be kicked out of the group, or that their second album might be shelved altogether. But Tebow's and Chili stood by her. The group entered therapy. Lisa completed a 30-day rehab program, was sentenced to 5 years probation, and ordered to pay $10,000 in damages. Still, the industry was watching closely. Behind closed doors, someone questioned if Lisa could survive the pressure. One executive anonymously told Rolling Stone, "She's a genius, but she's wild. And wild doesn't last long in this business." After the fire, Lisa changed, or at least she tried to. She started journaling more obsessively. She began talking about spirits, dreams, and destiny. She leaned into astrology, numerology, meditation, and fasting. She devoured spiritual books. She started calling herself NINA, New Identity Not Applicable. She traveled often to Honduras, where she'd met a spiritual healer named Dr. Ceiba. There, in the jungle, she believed she could finally disconnect from the noise, from fame, from men, from trauma. She called it her soul cleansing. She even began documenting her thoughts on camera, her voice softer now, more reflective. She spoke of dreams, spirits, symbols, and messages from beyond. She said she felt like something was following her, something dark, like a spirit. What began as a search for healing was becoming something else entirely. And as Lisa moved deeper into the jungle, her visions grew stronger, and the shadows closer. By early 2002, Lisa was standing at a crossroads, creatively, emotionally, and spiritually. Musically, she was restless. TLC was one of the biggest girl groups in the world, but behind the scenes, the tension had been building for years. Lisa wanted more control, more recognition. She had grown frustrated with the group's creative direction, and the way she felt her voice, her vision, were being silenced. She told MTV News, "I've graduated from this level of artistry. I want to make music that reflects who I am now, something deeper, something real." She'd begun working on her solo album, Supernova, a deeply personal, experimental project that explored reincarnation, astrology, spirituality, and personal transformation. The album was released internationally in 2001, but her U.S. label refused to support it. The project flopped commercially, and Lisa was crushed. Still, she didn't stop creating. She formed a new girl group called Egypt, mentoring 2 teenage singers, and began dreaming of launching her own label, Left Eye Productions. She was still under contract with TLC and was supposed to be recording with the group for their next album, 3D. But emotionally, she had already drifted away. She still loved Tebow's in Chile, but their bond had become strained. Lisa felt misunderstood, too cosmic, too complex, too much. Her family life, too, was in flux. She remained close with her mother, Wanda, and her younger sister, Raindrop, but she'd become increasingly withdrawn. Phone calls were less frequent. Lisa was searching for something no one else could give her. And so, once again, she turned to Honduras. Lisa had been traveling to Honduras since the late 90s, drawn to the teachings of Dr. Ceiba, a controversial herbalist and spiritual healer. She believed the land was sacred, untouched by the modern world, full of healing energies and ancestral spirits. In April 2002, she returned, not alone, but with a film crew, members of Egypt, and family and friends. She was there to document her journey, both as a spiritual cleansing and the foundation for a new documentary. She called the project Spirit of Lisa. From the very beginning, the energy felt different. Lisa fasted, meditated, and performed rituals in the jungle. She filmed herself walking barefoot down dirt roads, bathing in rivers, speaking to the camera about astrology, death, and transformation. In one of her tapes, her eyes are distant and her voice is soft. "I feel like I'm being followed. There's a spirit with me, not a good one. It's not something I can explain, but it's there." She spoke of reoccurring dreams, especially one where she died in a car crash. In the dream, she wasn't scared, just aware, like she knew it was coming. Her sister Raindrop later said, "Lisa kept talking about energy. She said something was after her, but not in a scary way, more like it had chosen her." Even in the footage, Lisa appears different, quieter, lighter in some moments, but eerily distant in others. Her smile is still there, but it doesn't reach her eyes. She kept recording, obsessively, as if she needed to leave proof of her transformation, of her truth. On the morning of April 25th, 2002, Lisa and her crew piled into a rented SUV. They were on a narrow country road, filming B-roll footage for the documentary. Lisa was driving. At some point during the trip, the vehicle veered off the road. Lisa swerved, lost control, and the SUV flipped, tumbling down an embankment. There were 8 people in the car. 7 survived. Lisa died instantly from head trauma. She was 30 years old, and the camera was still rolling. Her final moments, her voice, her breath, the blur of the road, were all caught on film. The footage was later included in the haunting VH1 documentary, The Last Days of Left Eye, released in 2007. Watching it feels like watching a spirit unravel in real time. Not in fear, but in surrender. In the final days of her life, Lisa had spoken openly about energy, reincarnation, and the idea that death was not the end. In one of her final recordings, she looks straight into the lens and says, "I feel like I'm about to do something big, something I've never done before. I don't know what it is, but I feel ready." She wasn't just recording a documentary. She was leaving behind a message, a living memory, a prophecy fulfilled. And in the end, Lisa didn't fear death. She surrendered to it, like a soul finally called home. When news broke on April 25, 2002, that Lisa Lopes had died in a car crash in Honduras, the world stopped.
We begin tonight with tragic news of a life cut short. TLC band member Lisa Left Eye Lopes was killed last night in a car crash in Central America. It happened in Honduras. Authorities say she lost control of a rented SUV she was driving. They also say 7 other people in the car were injured.
Her family was the first to confirm the news. A representative released a statement on behalf of Lisa's mother, Wanda Lopes, saying simply, "Lisa was a creative and loving soul. Her spirit will forever live in her music and in our hearts." The reaction from Tebow's in Chile was immediate and devastating. They had drifted in recent years, but nothing could prepare them for this. In a joint statement, they said, "We had all grown up together and were as close as a family. Today, we have truly lost our sister." Tebow's later recalled that when she got the call, she collapsed. Chile said she didn't believe it was real. Not Lisa, not Left Eye, not the one who always seemed untouchable. The music industry quickly followed with an outpouring of grief. LaFace Records released a public statement honoring Lisa's fearless talent and visionary energy. L.A. Reid called her one of the most unique artists of her generation. But it was the fans who turned her death into a movement. Tributes flooded MTV and BET. Candlelight vigils were held in Atlanta, Philadelphia, New York, and Los Angeles. Messages poured in from around the globe, fans remembering her wit, her bravery, her brilliance. Many spoke of how Lisa made them feel seen, how she brought truth and vulnerability to pop culture in a way no one else had. Lisa's funeral was held on May 2, 2002, at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, just outside Atlanta. Thousands attended. Mourners arrived dressed in white, many wearing blue, Lisa's favorite color. Her casket was white, with a crystal-studded cross. Her face was serene, a final moment of peace for a soul who had been in motion her whole life. Tebow's in Chile sat with the Lopes family. At one point during the service, Raindrop Lopes, Lisa's younger sister, took the stage and read from one of Lisa's journals. Her voice trembled as she spoke her sister's words, reflections on love, destiny, and the soul's journey home. I am the descendant of Egyptian queens and African kings. I've lived before. I know this. But why have I come back now? And what am I here to finish? She turned the page and continued reading from Lisa's handwritten questions. What is it that I still haven't learned? Why do I always feel like something is watching me? Is my soul older than this life? If I die young, will they understand who I really was? Then Raindrop paused, her voice breaking as she reached the last line. When I leave this world, I want it to be said that I lit up every room I walked into, even if the fire didn't last. The church was silent. 1,000 hearts broke at once. Andre Rison was among the mourners, sitting quietly in the back, sunglasses on, tears streaming down his face. No matter what happened between us, I loved her. I always did. I still do, he later said. In the months after Lisa's death, everyone asked the same question. Would TLC continue without her? The answer, at first, was yes, but never fully. T-Boz and Chili returned to the studio and completed the group's fourth album, 3D, using Lisa's existing vocals and previously unreleased verses. The album was released in November 2002, just 7 months after her passing. It was both a tribute and a farewell. The album cover didn't replace Lisa. The music videos didn't fill her spot. Her presence remained. A shadow, a voice, a flicker of fire. TLC made the decision never to replace her. Over the years, they've toured with video tributes and holograms, but no one has ever taken her place, on stage or in spirit. As Chili said, there is no TLC without Lisa. There's just no other way to say it. In the aftermath of her death, Lisa's legacy only grew. Her solo album, Supernova, was re-released in select countries. In 2007, VH1 aired the documentary, The Last Days of Left Eye, using Lisa's own footage, her last words, her visions, her search for peace. It was chilling, beautiful, and heartbreaking. Watching it felt like witnessing a soul preparing to leave, not with fear, but with knowing. She had lived loudly, loved fiercely, questioned everything. She didn't fear death. She followed the light and stepped into the arms of God. Even in death, Lisa Left Eye Lopes continues to move through this world in rhythm, in memory, and in energy. Her voice still drifts across radio waves, her image dances in grainy VHS footage, and her words echo in the hearts of those who understood she was more than a pop star. She was a seeker, a soul on fire, a mirror for everything we love and fear about the human experience. Lisa's impact on pop culture cannot be overstated. TLC's trailblazing success paved the way for artists like Destiny's Child, Missy Elliott, and Doja Cat. Bold women with vision, edge, and unapologetic self-expression. But Lisa's solo voice, her mystical mind, has also echoed in more unexpected places. In artists who blend art and activism, music and meaning, fame and spiritual fire. Her fascination with astrology, numerology, energy, and the unseen left a trail of cosmic breadcrumbs. She often spoke of reincarnation, of karmic debt, and the sense that this wasn't her first life, and it wouldn't be her last. "Death doesn't scare me," she once said. "This life is just one part of the cycle. I've been here before. I'll be here again." Lisa wasn't the only artist who seemed to glimpse her end before it arrived. Just 8 months before Lisa's passing, Aaliyah, another radiant soul, another visionary woman in music, died in a plane crash at just 22 years old. Days before her death, she reportedly told friends of a dream where she was flying away from her body, looking down at herself from above. It was peaceful, she said. She wasn't afraid. It's a pattern that's hard to ignore. Artists like Kurt Cobain, Tupac Shakur, Jim Morrison, and Amy Winehouse all hinted at their own departures in lyrics, interviews, and journals. Why does this happen? Are some souls simply more attuned, more open to the invisible? Do those who burn brightest know their flame will flicker out soon? Maybe it's not about death at all. Maybe it's about awareness, a sensitivity to energy, to timing, and to purpose. Lisa wasn't afraid of the end because she never believed it was the end. To her, it was a transition, a return, a cosmic movement into something higher. Lisa's legacy is now threaded into the work of artists across generations. In astrology, Geminis are the messengers, communicators between worlds. Lisa lived that role. She brought messages from joy, from pain, and from spirit. And then she left, just as suddenly as she arrived. She left us with questions, with symbols, with signs. And maybe that was the message all along. Dreams are hopeless aspirations, in hopes of coming true. Believe in yourself. The rest is up to me and you. Lisa Left Eye Lopes.